Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Can Coaster 51,000 subscriber live stream, per usual. Thanks for the support through the years. And yeah, feel free to start firing questions down. Looks like we have a few people in the chat. So I'll just get started. So I see H Perm Cubes doing well tonight. Hope you're doing well. Pokemon fan WSB Galt 8574. Hello. Hello, Dicronius LOL. Hello, Roller Coaster. Pretty cool. Um, will you be visiting Six Flags Qiddiya when it opens? I'll be visiting in January. Um, I am not going in January. My thought is I want to wait and see how that park goes, both from an uptime perspective of Falcon's Flight and how reliable all the rides at that park are, and just how the travel experience is going there. Um, yeah, so feel free to start firing questions. I usually tend to get a little backed up, so the earlier the better. Um, If anyone can hear me, just let me know down below, but I'm assuming it's good because it usually has been. Um, yeah, so as people saw in the recent videos I've been posting, did get to Epic Universe, which a lot of people have been asking about. Really enjoyed the park. First day was a little rocky, but second day was really good. Very low crowds. Brand Basil, any plans to count down the top 50 parks again in the near future? I want to do it when enough of the parks have changed. I'll take a look if enough has shifted because I visited a few parks that probably make the list, like Lotte World and Universal Beijing might make it, and then Epic Universe would. Hello, Express Thrills. Hello, Eric Thomason. Hello, 61 Coasters. Twin Rova MGM. Did you have any noise issues with Super Nintendo World at Epic? It was way too overstimulating for me during the day. So I had no issue with how chaotic that land is, but I could see how it could be overwhelming with all the motion and sounds, depending on how you handle that. But for me, I enjoyed it. Hello, Rob Coasters. Roller coaster pretty cool. Not sure what to say because you've been drifting away from roller coasters. Well, just thanks for the support and glad you made it, even if you're not, haven't been into coasters as lately. Um, Sicko Coasters, favorite coaster, Silver Dollar City, easily Outlaw Run. Absolutely love the pacing on that one. Express Thrills 184. Battle at the Ministry is so good. Will you end up making a review for it like Rise? I am not going to review Battle at the Ministry at this time. I don't want to go too deep into spoilers here, but there's one effect that was disabled very early in the ride's lifespan. I'm waiting to see if it eventually comes back. I don't think it will, but I want to see if it will because that might impact a little bit how I talk about it. John Pelosi 6575. I did not ride Pantherian this year. Not many people did. It was open for I think just a few weeks. Insane Coasters 5020. What coaster is the most powerful airtime you've experienced? Um, I guess it depends if you're looking for in terms of sheer strength. Wild Tramp Fantasiana might take it. There were some insane pops in that ride. Hello, Yap Emporium. 61 Coasters. Do you think Tormenta is going to be rough? I don't think it's gonna be glass smooth, but I would like to think it's not gonna be super rough because with Rakshasa, 2 of the 3 rows were fine. It was just the back edge seats that were rough, so I'm hoping they have a way to make it so every row is good. But yeah, I am a little worried about that one given the height and speed. Space Machete, if Tom Brady was a roller coaster, what coaster would he be? I really don't know how to answer that one, unfortunately. Um, let's see. Diachronius LOL. Do you believe Dracula Park in Romania will actually happen? I have not looked too deep in that project, so I'm not sure who's backing it and how likely it is to happen. Roller coaster pretty cool. Did you see the new Five Nights at Freddy's movie? I saw the first one, but not the second one. Rob Coasters. As far as I know, that effect is completely dead. Yeah, if you're talking about the Wine Ministry, I have a feeling it's not coming back given all the downtime it had at first, but I hope I'm wrong. Um, For those who did experience the effect, again, I'm trying to be as vague as possible. How much better was it than what's currently on the ride? Um, Dicronius L Dicronius on LL, top 5 bucket list coasters right now. Um, there are a lot of big ones in China, like Coaster Through the Clouds, Wood Coaster, Python Bamboo Forest. Um, because I'm gonna exclude the new ones for next year. Um, so those are probably some of the bigger ones I wanna get on someday. Um, Mama's Boy 34, Drake May. Yeah, I'm glad how well he's doing this year. Definitely helped turn around the Patriots very quickly. John Pelosi 6575. Do you prefer Stardust Racers or Velocicoaster? I prefer Stardust Racers, but Velocicoaster is still an amazing ride. YouTube King 4802. Favorite kitty coaster name? Um, Wild Wizard at Maurice Piers makes me laugh. Yeah, there are some wacky ones out there. Soybon 13. Thoughts on the new SNS coaster coming to Mangoes and iDrive? I'll be happy if it actually opens, but I'm very skeptical considering that's the group that had backed the Polar Coaster, if I understand correctly, and that was an on-off saga for many years. I hope it happens, but I want to see some progress first. Shem the Gracehopper got to ride Hellraiser on Blackpool South Pier. Yeah, that's an absolutely insane Walter. 61 coasters. Favorite college football team? For me, I don't. I like watching college football at the playoffs. I just want to see a good game. I'm not necessarily attached to any one team. Coasting the Planet. Do you prefer Rise of the Resistance or Ministry? I prefer Rise of the Resistance, but Ministry's an amazing ride too. Kitty Hat. Shanghai trip when? I'd like to get to Shanghai Disney. Just don't know when it would be. Roller coasters are pretty cool. What is your opinion on clickbait roller coaster YouTube channels? I don't really watch too many clickbait channels, so I'm not sure what the best or worst one is. Crystal, like, rest in peace, Wood Coaster. So I don't think it's permanently closed from what I understand, but I know it operates very, very infrequently. I think it operated, from what I heard, like 2 or 3 days in, I think it was 2024. So I don't know when they decide to operate it. Yeah, but it's a shame if that has truly, it's a shame how little it's operated. Space Machete, most anticipated 2026 roller coaster. So Falcon Flight technically opens in 2025, so that no longer will be on the most anticipated list like it has the past few years. But of the new stuff opening, let's see. I'm definitely excited for that Family Kingdom RMC Raptor, just because I'm really intrigued to see how that goes in that park. Um, Trying to think of some other big ones, but I think probably the biggest one is the Fast and Furious coaster at Universal Hollywood. That looks amazing being on the hillside, and the spinning effect should, if it's basically like Helix at Lisa Burge with spinning, that's gonna be an epic ride. Fire Ant, are you a Stranger Things fan? Yep, I already watched the first part of season 5, enjoyed it. Just for people who haven't, try not to put spoilers down here. Bran Basil, did you see Magic Flyers being removed? I did. I'm not too surprised given that ride's age and how the park has multiple other kiddie coasters. Um, YouTube King 4802, my friend recently visited Japan, did theme parks every single day. In my opinion, he is silly for not seeing some of the country's culture. Do you think he's wrong? Um, I get wanting to prioritize theme parks, as that's the main reason you travel there. I will say with Japan's hours, it's pretty easy to do both because a lot of the parks close early, so you can easily sneak culture in after the parks close. Roller coasters are pretty cool. Opinion on the new Mr. Beast theme park that opened. As far as I understand, it's basically like a carnival just with his name slapped on it. So it's an interesting publicity stunt, but the park doesn't seem all that great. Okay, so the effect that we're talking about in Ministry was amazing. Nothing too special. That's better than what it currently is. Yeah, the current effect still is sudden and you feel something when it happens, but I was just wondering how better it used to be. Rob Coasters, what do you think are the worst trains currently on the market? All my friends think it's Timberliners. Even when Timberliners shake, I find them comfortable, so I wouldn't say they're the worst trains in the market. Um, I would go with something like something that has obnoxious over the shoulder restraints. John Pelosi 6575. Where's Epic Universe rank with the other Universal parks you've been to? I'd say it's up there with Islands of Adventure for my favorite Universal park. Um, Universal Japan's very close, but that one is probably a step down from those 2 just because that park is so absurdly busy most days that it's very difficult to do a lot at that park. Stephen Boshiers, do you think Dollywood's Night Flight Expedition is likely to be a credit? I'd have to see what the full layout looks like, but I know that the rocking boat at in France was debatably a credit, so it potentially could be one. Coasting the Planet, do you have any thoughts on the Great America Giga rumor? I definitely could see that happening given how Great America has huge crowds. It's a park that does great numbers for them. And if they can creatively get that layout to go out in the parking lot and come back in without really losing anything other than I think at Johnny Rockets, that'd be an amazing win for the park. Um, YouTube King 4802. Who's your favorite female coaster designer? Off the top of my head, I can't think of any. If there's any really well-known ones, I've just list some of them in the chat with their rides, and I'm happy to say which one I think has done a good job. Um, which park is a stronger top three? Islands of Adventure or Epic Universe? So, Epic Universe, let's see, you have two awesome dark rides plus Stardust. At Islands of Adventure, you have Hagrid's Velocicoaster, and the next one there depends on the day which one I'd pick. Um, I probably would pick Islands of Adventure, but it is very, very close. Thanks for the kind words, Filet-O-Fish. Express Thrills. Do you anticipate Hollywood Drift to be better than Velocicoaster? So I think Velocicoaster is probably going to have better forces. However, Hollywood Drift could be just as good, if not better, because you have a cool setting on the hillside, and the spin could make the forces hit harder, even if they might not be as strong as each individual airtime moment on Velocicoaster. Mr. Probro 522. While Stardust Racers is better than Iron Gwazi and Velocicoaster, how high is it in your rankings? So I have not compiled my final rankings for the year, but it is definitely very high, top five. Rob Coasters. 2026 is looking to be a slower year in terms of new coasters, especially in Europe. I'm not too surprised given how, like, I know a lot of countries might be going into a slight recession, so it makes sense to play it a little conservative this year. YouTube King, do you think Coaster Studios is a nice person? I have not met Coaster Studios in person. Seems nice enough from the videos. LM Brick Productions, what are your thoughts on Six Flags DK Discovery Kingdom going there this weekend? A little scared. That park has a lot of potential. It's cool how they have animals and a pretty solid coaster lineup. The only problem, their operations can be really bad, both in terms of ride closures and one train operations. I wish you the best. Joker's one train operations are the most painful, especially if they have slow dispatches on top of that. But I haven't been since the merger, so hopefully it's a little better now. YouTube King 4802. Would you rather ride Starry Skyripper or spend a full day at Mr. Beastland? I'll pick Starry Skyripper because I've heard that's one of the best being on flyers. Roller coasters are pretty cool. Have you ever watched South Park? I don't watch it consistently, but there are several episodes I've seen, and they're pretty funny. Filet-O-Fish. Do you want Curse of the Werewolf replaced, or is it too soon to tell? I don't want replaced. I want it to undergo a refurbishment just to add theming to it. Because the layout itself is fine. I just wish the theming around it was better. Um, sorry, I don't know how to say this one, but it ends in Y3W. I have a question. How is wood coasters made? So there are several videos talking about how wood coasters are made. There's the prefabs and the traditional wood coasters. I think Martin and Flamenx has a really good video showing how they're fabricated. That's one I'd recommend. Coaster Seeker 15, weirdest coaster you've experienced. Um, some of the weirdest ones I'm thinking of are ones that are like those fringe credits. There's a dark ride coaster in the German fair circuit called Spuck. I rode it and The final scene had a live worker who swung like a foam axe at my throat. So that scared the heck out of me because I wasn't expecting him, A, to have a live actor there, and B, to actually touch me with something, especially in that spot. Space Machete, prediction for the next Cedar Point coaster. That one's a little tough because they could go in many different directions. I would love to see a modern wood coaster, though. Coasters for life. Thoughts on Rushabon and Tivoli. Great classic coaster, some really good airtime, especially if you have a brakeman who's laying the brakes. Um, YouTube King 4802, favorite currency. Um, Not really sure. I like how some of the like European ones are so colorful. I'll say that. Ellis 335. Are you gonna do a full review um on Hiccups Wing Gliders and Donkey Kong? I do plan to review both of those probably in the next 2 weeks. Actually, probably more like the next week. Roller coasters are pretty cool. I prefer Cedar Point to Kings Island. Rob coasters, I prefer orange juice without the pulp. Carrie's age. Hi, I'm eating a fillet of fish. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of McDonald's, so I probably will never eat a fillet of fish again. Um, YouTube King 4802, rather ride 100 different wacky worms or ride your number one bucket list coaster. I would definitely pick the bucket list coaster. I've ridden enough wacky worms. I keep track of how many credits I've been on, but I'd rather prioritize quality over quantity. Shem the Grasshopper. I experienced my second ever mid course brakes turned off on the big one last month. I was in the back row and it was mental sustained air going into it. Yeah, I've always had that brake run hit hard, so that's really cool to hear it sometimes doesn't. I'm guessing it was really cold or windy or something. Coaster Hour. Least effective single rider line you've experienced and least effective fast pass at a park. So the least effective single rider line I can think of would actually be Python at Efteling, at least the day I tried to use it. The way they were grouping the ride is they were loading the evens at the front of the train, if I remember correctly, and the odds at the back of the train. So they were not really calling for single riders at all because if there's a group of three, they'd send them to the back with the other group of three. The only way they were calling for a single rider is if the last group admitted was an odd numbered group, and then you were literally the last person to fill the train. So that made it very difficult to move through that line quickly. And if I had realized that's how it was going, I probably would have bailed sooner. I think it took maybe like 30 minutes with I think 3 or 4 people ahead of me. In terms of least effective fast pass lane, um, there was I'm trying to think of like consistently which one was the worst. For that one, it's when a park oversells the fast pass and it gets to the point where like if everyone has fast pass, no one has fast pass. Um, I know PortAventura has been guilty of overselling it before, but they prioritize that line to the point standby doesn't move. Um, there have been some days at Cedar Point where I feel like they've oversold fast fast lane way too much. But it more or less just impacts the headlining coasters, but some of the smaller ones aren't too bad. So it's tough to pinpoint one exact answer in that one. Mr. Probro 522, do you think Tormenta Rampaging Run will be the best B&M dive coaster? Um, It could be depending how smooth it is. Yukon Striker still has an awesome layout, so I could still see that one being my favorite. And then how do you think it'll stack up at Six Flags over Texas? I feel like I'll still like New Texas Giant more because I love airtime so much, but Rampaging Run should be one of the best coasters there. Coaster Freak 2011, what defunct American theme park would be doing the best if it had not closed? Hmm. I want to say Hard Rock Park just because of how that had a lot of potential with better advertising and better transit over there because so many people go to Myrtle Beach for vacation. Um, yeah, it's just tough because that park was open for so little. Astro World's another one that comes to mind because, from my understand, it wasn't attendance that was the problem. It was more that what they thought the value of the land was. Um, Kitty Hat, whole milk or skim milk? I prefer whole milk. Um, Roller coasters are pretty cool. You went to Great Escape last summer and went to Martha's Ice Cream. Yeah, hope you liked it. My wife loves how huge their portions are. Uh, Roller Coaster Breath. Love your content. It's so inspirational. Thanks for the work and money you put into it. Yeah, I mean, glad to make videos. I do it for fun. YouTube King 4802. If Steel Vengeance had over the shoulder restraints, where do you think it would rank for you? That's a toughie because it is a smooth ride, but it also has some lateral moments. So if I hit my head, yeah, I probably wouldn't like as much. Messi 4012. Will you ride Tormenta next year? I definitely want to because I want to get down there for that and Circuit Breaker. Uh, X-Man X-Men 731. Are you excited for Great Adventures new coaster? Yeah, I mean, if it's the rumored 400-foot Mach spinner, I know a lot of people are hating on it, but I'm actually really excited for that ride. My only concern was the capacity side of things, but the ride itself should still be really fun. YouTube King 4802. Thoughts on theme parks using AI for new ride concept artwork? I would prefer if they actually, made it themselves and hired an artist, just because I don't want to see artists going out of business. Um, I get why they do it because it's quick and cheaper, but people can tell when you've used AI. Coaster Hour, most unusual theme park restaurant you've been to? Um, I mean, those roller coaster restaurants are pretty unusual, and they're also a lot of fun. Trying to think of some other weird ones. Disney has like some weird, the Star Wars bar is a unique one. Brand Basil, did Flying Aces and Formula Rossa move up in your rankings, or actually just move? Flying Aces moved up. I forgot how many airtime moments that ride had because I remember the laterals being good, and those were still amazing. I think Formula Rossa is probably the same as it was. Still an amazing ride. YouTube King 4802. Do you have any gay friends who are going to Six Flags Qiddiya? So I know people um, who are planning on going there. Some are straight, some that are gay. It just comes down to personal preference if you feel comfortable or not going. Again, I don't know anyone that has traveled there, so I don't know what the situation is um, for anyone really traveling there. Roller coasters are pretty cool. You should make a podcast. Um, I don't plan to make a podcast at this time, but I don't mind being a guest in someone else's podcast. Mama's Boy 34. What are some of your favorite elements in any ride? Some that come to mind: Lightning Rod's quad down. The Celestial spin on Stardust Racers is really cool. Trying to think of some other really big ones. Um, I like the big airtime hills on Helix because of the airtime power and the views. There are a ton of amazing drops. A lot like Iron Rattler, T Express, Hyperia. That Outer Banks stall into the barrel roll drop on Hyperia is amazing. Crystal, like, have you ever thought about making vlogs? I don't want to make vlogs. The reason being, I'd rather take my time to compose the thoughts rather than getting off a ride, taking the time to go off to the side and be like, okay, this is my thoughts on this ride, which takes some time out of your day. Then you go on the ride. It's like, oh, my thoughts changed. So you have to redo what you filmed. I'd rather get the full spectrum of the ride before giving an opinion. Um, Coaster Hour, park you would most rise the most or drop in your rankings with a revisit. So that would probably be a park that has switched ownership and is being operated better than the last time I visited them. So I'm trying to think of an example of a park that I think would probably move up under those circumstances. Or if there was a park I went to that had a big ride close. I'm just trying to look through my rankings real quick. Um, um, just looking through real quick. One that would move up is Clementon Park if they actually make Hellcat good, because I think they're putting some track on it. Um, that layout for Hellcat is actually really good if they can make it smooth and turn the trim off. Because I know people who wrote opening year and loved it. Um, let's see some others that would move a lot in these ranks. Um, oh, one that would definitely move up Lakeside in, Denver. So I heard really bad things going to that park. I actually really like the lights. They had a unique ride lab. They just need Cyclone to reopen. If that reopens, that would move up a lot in my ranks. YouTube King 4802, cheapest hotel you've ever stayed at, and what was your experience there? So I think the cheapest I've stayed at would probably be I stayed at an Econo Lodge in Kissimmee that I think was like $30 a night. There was a salamander that crawled out of the toilet paper in the room. There were some interesting people outside the hotel, but I was in college, didn't have too much money, so the hotel was perfect for me. Um, Probably wouldn't stay there again, but it was good for my circumstances. Uh, YouTube King 4802, if the nearest McDonald's to your house built an RMC T-Rex coaster but cost $50 per ride, how many times do you think you would ride each year? Um, I would definitely ride it once. I just don't know how many times I'd go on it. Like, I have not gone on that mountain coaster at Lake Placid because of the cost on principle, but I also feel like that ride's probably gonna be like, an average mountain coaster. If you built me like an elite ride that cost a lot, I'd have to consider it a little more than, your average ride. Space Machete, any current hot takes? Um, let's see. That's tough because it just comes down to what I think is a hot take might not be a hot take for other people. Um, yeah, sorry, I'm struggling to come up with one off the top of my head. I'm sure that I'll say something this stream that's a hot take, but I just can't think of it off the top of my head. Shem the Grace Hopper. Yep, you had bad weather in Blackpool on the last day of November, just enough to keep Big One running. Yeah, I know that ride's very, very finicky when it comes to wind. I've been very fortunate in my visits. I've been able to get on it each time because I know that one is like the first ride that park to close in wind. I think flying machines are usually pretty finicky too. YouTube King 4802. If you get a single rider line, any coaster that currently does not have one, which coaster would you choose? Um, so this is gonna be cheating, but I'm gonna say two rides that used to have single rider line. I'm gonna say one ride that used to have a single rider line that got rid of it, and it made it so I went from riding it like a dozen times a year to like maybe once. Pandemonium at Six Flags in New England. I used to ride that once or twice a visit because the single rider line was never more than 5 minutes. But they got rid of it, I think, like 2 years ago, and I've barely ridden it since because that usually has the longest line in the park. Crystal, like, what coaster or dark ride was your favorite theme, regardless of how well executed it is? So, I'm a big Ghostbusters fan. I'm not happy with the Ghostbusters dark rides I've done thus far. Um, I love Star Wars, and Rise of the Resistance serves the IP well, which is why I love that ride so much. Roller coasters are pretty cool. Yeah, I've seen Silence of the Lambs before. Really good movie. YouTube King 4802, pineapple does not belong on pizza. Jimmy Blaze 4097, Disney's strange and confusing skip the line has kept me away from the parks for 7 years. Have they improved their system at all based on recent visits? And do you have any tips? So I have never had a problem with Disney's skip the line systems. I just do my research beforehand to see what the current rules are, both in terms of signing up and using it. The biggest tip I have is even if a ride says it has no availability, just keep refreshing, and eventually availability can pop up. This applies both to Disneyland and Disney World. Ellis335. No plans to go to Six Flags Qiddiya at this time. I want to see how other people's visits go first. Coaster Seeker 15. How do you think it ranked the coasters at Six Flags Qiddiya? So I think Falcon's Flight would probably be number one. Number two is a little trickier because I was a lot more excited for Colossus before I rode Hala Madrid. Hala Madrid really didn't have strong airtime, and I'm hoping Colossus is better in that department. But we'll have to see how it rides. Mr. Probro522, what coasters do you think have the most powerful ejector airtime, and what specific airtime moments in coasters do you think are the best airtime moments? So some of my favorite airtime moments are on the Intamin prefab wood coasters. Super strong and super sustained ejector. Expedition G-Force is a lot of good moments. I love the sustained ejector and laterals on Hyperia. Iron Rattler's drops are amazing. I love the camelbacks and helix. Superman, the Rise Six Flags New England at Fourth Hill is amazing. Lightning Rod's quad down for those four intense ejector moments in a row is awesome. A lot of good moments out there. Roller coasters are pretty cool. I have no comment on British Indian Ocean territory. Kitty Hat, best element on otherwise mediocre or terrible coaster. So I think this one just closed, but I'm gonna say the powered coaster at Jardin de Acclimatation. That thing is a gentle powered coaster, but if you sit up front, there's this out of control ejector airtime moment leaving the tunnel. Again, I think they just closed it, but that ride had shocked me for that moment. YouTube King 4802. If you had to choose between only riding RMC or B&M coasters for the rest of your life, which would you choose? I would pick RMC because there are more of their rides in my like top 25 and top 50. Um, Jack Jack Patty. What is your opinion on Riddler's Revenge current pace scheme compared to the old one? I preferred it back when I had the black supports more, but this one is a little flashier. Electric Kong, worst theme park or ride concept you have seen? So I guess you're asking about like the pure setup. At this carnival company near us, Fiesta shows, they had what they call the Ultimate Illusion, which was advertised as a. I think they said it was like, you won't believe what's in this funhouse. You're right, I wouldn't believe what was in this funhouse. It was literally a trailer, probably the size of this room, with just a one of those vortex tunnels. I like vortex tunnels, but that should not be a single attraction alone that they're charging money for. Um, Brian Basil, favorite places to eat at Epic Universe. I really liked both Das Steakhouse and Pizza Moon. I think Pizza Moon's the best overall value, so I'd say that one. YouTube King 4002, bigger downgrade, Voltron losing its theming or Shambhala getting over the shoulder restraints. I would say Shambhala getting over the shoulder restraints. Voltron's layout is so good, it's probably like a 10 out of 10 ride even without theming, but Shambhala getting over the shoulder restraints would really hurt that ride. Messi, have you ridden fully retract Wildcat? Yeah, it's a. I can't believe how good that ride has gone from 2 years ago to now. Jimmy Blaze 4097. Do you think Busch Gardens Tampa will get a Giga Coaster? They definitely have the money, space, and I think it would make sense for them. So I hope they do. YouTube King 4802. Favorite themed area at a park in Europe? So there are two areas of Phantasialand that come to mind: Klugheim and Rookburg. Um, let's see. Disneyland Paris has some really nice areas too, especially because they have a lot of rides in those themed areas. I'm trying to think of some others that might come to mind. I also like Forbidden Valley at Alton Towers, just with how Nemesis and they really expanded on the lore to go to multiple rides there. Then, are there any other big ones that come to mind? Hello, Cat Ashworth. Space Machete, most underrated roller coaster. At least based on when I wrote it, I would go with Surf Coaster Leviathan. I expected a tame jet coaster, but that ride had like the forces of a hyper coaster. Some really good airtime, good positive G's, nice long ride. Really enjoyed it. Roller coaster, pretty cool. YouTube's just a hobby. I'm an engineer. YouTube King 4002. If you won the lottery, what would you do with the money? Um, I would probably continue to travel, but I would probably stay at some, nicer hotels than I currently do. Jack Patty 6809. Do you wish the Bizarro still had roller coasters? I prefer the current themes to the rides that used to be Bizarro, but I get why they did it for a short period. Travis Beeves, where do you plan to go in 2026? I want to try to get to several of the new coasters in the US next year. and then obviously some of the local parks. Messy 4014, hot take, Vekoma SLCs, even with old restraints, are not bad. I really hate those over the shoulder restraints. So even the ones that are supposedly smoother, like Thunderhawk at Michigan's Adventure, I still do not like those rides. Um, YouTube King 4802. Do you ever rank theme parks higher or lower if staff is unfriendly? If so, can you give an example? So for me, it comes down to if it is across the board like that or if it's a rogue incident. So for example, I've been to parks where you have one employee that's bad and it's you don't see him again. So that was a little sour for that one visit, but that's not an indictment on the park. But if you have a park across the board that has bad employees, or likewise, if you have across the board a park with good employees, I notice. Like Disney is a perfect example where their customer service is so awesome. Like even if you start to have a bad day, the staff gets you in a good mood. Um, so yeah, they definitely can influence a park visit. Mr. Probro, are there any new coaster drops or inversions that'd be high up in your top 50? So there are a lot in China that um oh, so you mean ones I've done, got not theoretical ones. Hyperion is my favorite drop, so yeah, that one would be up there. That Outer Bank inversion on Hyperion would be up there too, so it's possible Hyperion might take the top 2 spots, but I have to consider how I classify that inversion Hyperion because it starts as an airtime hill, so that one might be cheating a little bit. Um, yeah, those are some examples of ones I would place highly. Jack Hansen, did Stardust land in your top 10? Yes, it did. I love that ride. Uh, Daniel Daniel Se Daniel Sison, do you ever put your hood up when on a log flume? Yeah, I've done it occasionally, but usually when I go on a log flume, I'm going on it because I don't mind getting wet. The biggest thing I care about protecting are my shoes. So there have been a few instances where I'll wrap my feet in trash bags or plastic bags. I have no regrets doing so. The only time that almost burned me, at Fuji-Q Highland, they specifically said you could not put anything around your feet on, the Golden Kitty River Rapids ride. I think it's called Nagashima-suka. And given how wet that ride was and how it was the last ride of the night, in this recent visit I had, I actually had to skip it this trip, which stung because that's an awesome rapids ride, but I didn't wanna get soaked before a 3+ hour train ride at night. Well, I didn't want my feet specifically to be soaked because there was quite a bit of walking we had to do, in those train stations. I knew I'd be standing on the train too. Below the Fitzas, YouTube King 4802, most annoying queue to wait in from your experience. Um, I would say something that has a tendency to break down because you're very stressful waiting in line. Um, that's how I felt about Hagrid's for a long time because that ride was so temperamental, but now it's actually pretty reliable. Now it's just a long wait, but at least it's unlikely to break down. Um, Minecart Madness right now is probably one that is up there because the queue has an awesome Cranky Kong animatronic, but that's only visible in one section of the queue. And that ride can close if it rains. And it's also a temperamental ride, and it's also a really long wait. So I'll say that one for now. Roller coasters are pretty cool. Worst weather you've ever experienced at a park. So I w- I would probably say my day at Universal Studios Beijing. That is a beautiful park, but if you saw my footage, that park looks gray, bleak, and miserable because that park got, I think it was 3 inches of rain in one day. They had a yellow warning, and I was honestly a little bit worried they weren't even going to open that day. Um, it was a torrential downpour pretty much all day, except for like 1 hour when they were actually able to open the coasters. I miraculously got in them. Um, just I've been at parks where it has been a downpour, but I've never been at a park where it was basically a downpour like that, open to close. And that park was open for like 12 hours. Um, YouTube King 4002 going to Dubai next year and want to ride the GCI coaster. The problem is I'm a big Barcelona fan. I don't want to support Real Madrid. Any advice? Um, well, you don't have to buy any merchandise from the park. Yeah, I hate the Steelers, but I still ride and like Steel Curtain. If anything, bring wear the opposing team's jersey. and see if they make fun of you or heckle you. Because I did that with wearing a Patriots jersey on a steel curtain, and people had playful things to say to me. Mama's Boy. What two elements would you combine to make a new one? Mine would be a twist and shout that exits into a barrel roll down drop. So the one I've been thinking of that I'd love to see, I want to see basically a double zero G roll camelback. So you do a barrel roll in the ascent, have the air time the crest be an airtime hill. They do a second barrel roll in the descent. Bren Basil, what was your favorite roller coaster prior to Lightning Rod? What did I have top of my list before that? I think before that I had I think I had Iron Rattler as number one before that. YouTube King 4802. Have you ever been told off at a theme park for accidentally breaking park rules? Trying to think. I'd say some of the rides where like you ask if you can film and one person says yes, and then someone later tells you you can't. So a misunderstanding. Never deliberately breaking a rule, but there have been times where like just a misunderstanding on a rule. Like I remember there was a time at Six Flags Great Adventure where when they were building Justice League, I took a picture of the old observatory from the Midway, and security told me I wasn't allowed to take a picture of a ride under construction, so they wanted to see me delete it. I was a little surprised by that because I know now they're pretty lax about allowing you to film ride under construction. So maybe it was just one security guard I ran into that day. Um, I think of some other ones that, um, yeah, those are the ones that come to mind. But usually it hasn't. Occasionally, make it a security guard who's loud, but as long as you comply, you're usually and don't really get hostile towards them. They're usually not too bad. Messi 4014. Did you ride the Unstoppables at Real Madrid World? You heard it was a special kind of bad. Yeah, that ride's awful. Yeah. If you've never seen a POV of that ride, just look at it. Mr. Probro 522. How much is a fast pass at Islands of Adventure and Epic Universe? And are they included for any days if I stay in resort? Also, how much do Cedar Point fast passes usually cost during summer? So, uh, Islands of Adventure has an unlimited fast pass included if you stay at their really nice premium resorts, not Helios, but the Lowe's ones, the older ones. So I think it's Portofino, Hard Rock Hotel, and I think I'm forgetting one of them, but there's three that have it. But you do not get um, fast passes to Epic Universe. You have to buy those individually. Islands of Adventure does have an unlimited option, but Epic Universe currently does not. Cedar Point fast passes can cost, I think, as much as $200 some days. Um, I know they used to give a discount if you had platinum, where it used to be you could get the Fast Lane Plus for the price of Fast Lane. If anyone knows if they still do that, I'd love to know down in the comments. But I haven't tried to do that in several years. Shem the Grace Hopper. I've ridden several rides at Central Pier of a countdown. I absolutely love, that bungee slingshot. I know it's not the safest ride out there, but that was super forceful, and the Waltzer is amazing too. YouTube King 4002. Do you think you'll visit every US state in your lifetime? I think there's definitely a good chance. Oops, sorry, I lost my spot. Um, Jack Jack Patty, what's your opinion on Scream Wars trains going to flight deck at Canada's Wonderland? So I've seen that if you put those new Vekoma trains on SLC, even the bad ones, they become decent rides. Perfect example, that Mind Eraser Six Flags America was atrocious, but with those new trains, it was actually decent. The only one with the new trains that I have thought is still a train wreck has been El Condor at Wallaby. That one's just way too rough. Coaster Seeker 15, you're my top 0.02 of viewers. Thank you. Thanks for the support. YouTube King 4002. Do you think you'll ever travel to Russia to ride coasters in the future? At this time, I don't have any plans to go there. Um, Jimmy Blaze 4097. Where do you tend to stay when you visit European parks? So that depends wildly on the park and what type of transportation I have. If it's a city park, I like to stay in the city and use public transit because I don't want to deal with driving in European cities. Just a little hectic, especially with how narrow some of those roads are. Um, if a park has an affordable and good on-site resort, I try to stay there. Good examples: Phantasialand, Alton Towers, the Thorpe Shark Cabins have awesome perks. Not greatest rooms because they're a little cramped, but I love the perks that come with that hotel for the price. Um, yeah, so there's no one size fits all for that answer. Yellow Guy 2762. Opinion on the layout of the GCI coming into Park Miraculum. Is that the Czech wood coaster? If so, I thought it reminded me a little bit of Thunderhead when I looked quickly. YouTube King 4002. Do you believe in Father Christmas? Yeah, I mean, Santa Claus is real. And if you don't believe me, look at Buddy the Elf. Mr. Probro 522. Uh, what I would say about Six Flags Qiddiya is there it seems like there's quite a few people going for opening day. Just see what their experience is and see what they think about traveling there. Space Machete, a defunct roller coaster you never got to ride, but you wish you had a chance to. So this is going to be cheating a little bit. I'm going to say the original Riverside Cyclone before it was neutered by Six Flags because I heard that was an amazing ride, but I only rode it after Six Flags neutered it. Jeff Brown, I was on Superman Escape with you. You're talking about the one in Australia, right? Or are you talking about Escape from Krypton? YouTube King 4002, will you watch soccer games at the World Cup? Yeah, I'll definitely watch those games. The Fitzas, does Wipeout at Canby Lake Park hurt? It can, especially if you don't sit in the right spots and you have a larger guest on the inside crushing you on the outside. But I do like how strong the laterals are there. Ben Price, how many credits do you have? Somewhere 1400 something. Uh, let's see. Um, Maverick Heartline roll. Tormenta could have roughness. My guess based off Rakshasa is if it is rough, it'll be the back edge seats. I hope that's not the case, but only time will tell. Jack Patty, what do you think of Titan's new color scheme? I have not seen it in person, but it's cool how they picked the Cowboys colors with them being right there. Electric Kong, what never a rarely used theme would you like to see used at a theme park? I definitely think it's cool when they tie into the local sports teams because that's something people are really passionate about. And while Steel Curtain has had its downtime, it's a pretty cool idea to theme it to a local sports team that revered. Mr. Probro, what are some of your favorite and least favorite coaster restraints? So the ones for me are one, I like the restraints that are pretty minimal, so they afford good airtime, such as buzz bars. For ones that are least favorite restraints, things that are make you susceptible to head banging. So over the shoulder restraints that are close to your head. Uh, Daniel Sion, will you roll up your sleeves? No, it is very cold in this house. We keep the heat low to save money, so that's why I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Electric Kong, what is your top bucket list country for non-coaster ride related reasons? Um, that's a toughie because I've been to a lot of countries I wanted to. I'll say somewhere in Africa just because I want to go on an African safari at some point. YouTube King 4002, I will never eat ice cream again. Uh, Catabrium, I've not been to Gelmerbahn. Ben Price, will you go to Dollywood next year? I definitely want to for the new ride. Um, Cashworth, yeah, the cats are still adorable. They're just not in here because they will tend to hit the wires and cause things to go out. YouTube King 4002, worst value pass you've ever bought. So Universal Studios Japan comes to mind in terms of the cost per ride. However, you saved like an hour, if not more, for several rides. So ultimately, I think it was worth it, especially considering how that park costs less than the US Universal parks. I want to maximize my time there. Trying to think of some that are really bad. The one that I thought was ridiculous is Universal Orlando started testing single shot express passes, I believe on Revenge of the Mummy, and they were charging like I think it was like $25 a ride, and that had like maybe a 20-minute wait the day they did it. Especially because single riders almost is usually pretty quick on that one. That's one that didn't sound like such a good value. The ones for circuit breakers sounded insane. Wasn't it like I want to say wasn't it like $80 for skip the line pass or something? I remember it was an absurd number when that park opened for the F1 weekend. Maverick Heartline roll. Thing park guests do in line in general angers you the most. Line jumping and smoking. Uh, Kitty Hat, give us another funny ride operator story if you have one. So the one I'll give would be when I went to Europa Park with my friend on Silver Star, and he had a lot in his pocket, so the Silver Star restraint was a notch too high, and he wasn't getting the verify. And the operator, with a thick German accent, just looks at him and doesn't give him a chance to respond. Says, "I'm sorry, I'm going to hurt you." And he climbs on the seat in front of us at Silver Star, and gives a full-on body slam with his butt to get the restraint down. And I just couldn't believe how blunt he was. That was going to hurt. It did hurt, but he got him on the ride, and I think he knocked it down two clicks, and not just one when he did that. Um, YouTube King 4002. Would you rather a pet capybara or a pet snake? I haven't looked into owning either of those, so I'm not really sure. YouTube King 4002. Biggest language barrier of experience at a park. Um, I would say one stressful situation is I got a nosebleed at Six Flags Mexico in a very awkward spot, and I was trying to ask for help. And I know some Spanish; it's not perfect, and I couldn't remember the word for blood, so I was like, Red Agua de Nariz, and I was like, Necesito un toalla, or however you say towel. Sorry, I'm really bad at Spanish. And they were completely confused what I was trying to say. And as I'm holding my face because I have blood coming out. Yeah, I don't. Mexico City's elevation, myself, we don't get along. Love Six Flags Mexico, but I always feel cruddy there because of the elevation and air quality. Thrillville YouTube, best coaster at Magic Mountain. For a long time, I thought it was Twisted Colossus, but now tend to lean towards X2 because of the uniqueness. Uh, Gian Feliciano 9816. What do you think of Pennsylvania landscape wise? Definitely some beautiful nature trails there if you take some time away from the theme parks. Brand Basil, do you prefer Maverick or New Sky Rush? I would pick Maverick now. Uh, Kenny T7708. How do you feel with the New England Patriots season so far? Uh, Absolutely stunned that they are doing as well as they are this year. I knew they had an easy schedule, but I wasn't expecting them to take such a big leap forwards. YouTube King 4002, cheapest flight you've been on, probably something from Ryanair. I think probably the one from Heathrow to Dublin. Shem the Grace Hopper, the bungee wall tree is on South Pier, not North Pier. Oh, sorry. I have not been to North Pier because usually what happens is I Blackpool closes, I go to South Pier, then South Pier closes before I can get down to North Pier. YouTube King 4002, would you rather spin a wheel of your top 10 coasters and get to ride 5 of them right now, or spin the wheel of your top 10 bucket list coasters and ride 1 of them right now? I picked the bucket list coaster just because some of them are in difficult locations to get to, so that would make it easy if I got to ride one of them. Jimmy Blaze 4097. I did hear about Lincoln Park growing up. Don't know too much about it, but I wish it was still there. YouTube King 4002. Most overrated airtime moment on a coaster. Um, that one's a little tough. One that I will say can come to mind is if you ride El Toro on a slow day, the Rolling Thunder Hill does not hit as hard as it does usually. However, most days, especially in summer days, that hill is amazing. Um, Jack Green, I hope in the future that Canada's Wonderland buys Dragon Mountain's old trains and uses them for Dragon Fire. That'd be really cool, especially because those trains look amazing. Catabram, any idea when Twin Mill Racers is going to open? I see zero updates in the park. So the last I heard is that Twin Mill Racers can't finish because there's a billboard in the way that they can't get permission to demolish. If anyone locals know if that's actually true, that's insane. And I'm really curious to see how that goes because if that coaster's there, you can't even really see the billboard from the road, right? Space Machete, what YouTube channel would you like to collab with? Right now, I'm gonna say none. I'll happily do like a podcast, but I just find it easier with my schedule just to work on my own videos rather than having to go back and forth. Especially because I can work with the native files if it's just me. Ben Praise, will you update your favorite water slides and water rides countdown? Again, I'll see if enough has changed to warrant it changing again. Sable Karsten 6896. I wish Hershen had bought Six Flags America. So the one I wish that had bought that park is Disney. Because if you know the story, they looked at building Disney's America a long time ago in Virginia, but they couldn't get. I believe it was the town didn't give them permission to build it there because they were gonna do some weird spin in history. And if they were to take the site of Six Flags America, you have a huge chunk of land already zoned as a theme park next to a very profitable market. If you put a Disney park there, they would people would flood that park. Coaster Secret, I know obviously they have to rework a lot of the stuff there, but having the land that is zoned for a theme park would be very valuable for them. Uh, Sable Carson 6896. I wish Hershen had bought Six Flags America. Oh, sorry, I just answered that one. Coaster Seeker, do you like Mario Kart? Yeah, I like both the ride and the game. Messy, the Spanish word for blood is sangre. I probably heard that at some point, but I forgot. YouTube King 4002. I have not heard about that Summit's GeoGuessr tournament. I'm a big fan of the GeoGuessr theme park game, though, if that's what it is. Bag of Clothes 7360. Any other Colorado content coming down the pipes? So I definitely want to get some videos about Lakeside. I've kind of been holding out, waiting to see if we hear what happens with Cyclone. But I have a feeling we might not hear anything before the park opens next year. But that's some videos I want to make. I have some stuff from Glenwood Caverns, and I also really, really liked Waterworld and want to get some videos out for there. I think Waterworld, I'll probably wait until closer when they open next year, so it's fresh in people's minds when their operating season's in. But I'll try to get some of the other stuff out this winter. Fox. I think I got all the foxes. Do you ride the Beast in any row at the front? I like it best in the front, but I will ride it in the back car too, probably once a visit. Uh, Diesel Map Reviews 349. What would be the most appealing park in the Americas to visit south of Mexico City? Um, I don't know if this is cheating or not, but technically Six Flags of Mexico is south of downtown Mexico City, so that's one option. I don't really have too much familiarity with some of the other parks there, so I'll say that one for now. YouTube King 4002. Would you rather never have to wait in line for any coaster, never have to pay for any theme park, but you're not allowed to buy any fast passes? Um, Probably never having to pay for a theme park would be really nice because there are a lot of parks you can go to without a fast pass. Um, and if I could go to any park and never pay, I could just do multiple visits with no issue. So I'll say that. So it's getting towards the top of the hour. So I'm probably gonna cut off shortly. I'll try to answer the next few questions. Um, if there's any I didn't get to, per usual, feel free to put it in a comment in the video, and I'll do my best to get back to it. I know I've been a little bad getting to the comments just 'cause I've been prioritizing videos over responding to comments, but I'll try to get to them eventually. Cat Ashworth, the Central Pier of the rides not north. Yeah, sorry, I get mixed up with all those rides at Blackpool because there's so many peers there. Mama's Boy 34. I really want to see the Thunderbolt get 2 train operations. It would be a huge help. The Fit says, I swear the Husk Frisbees have a lot of airtime. Why do you say they don't have a lot? I find they focus more on spinning. I know you can get some floater on those, but typically that's not what I feel too often. So again, like I said, probably signing off now, but thanks again for the support. I'll do this again probably when I hit the next milestone. Have a good night, everyone. And like I said, if I didn't get to anything you really want me to answer, try to put it in a comment and I'll do my best to get to it. So thanks and have a good night.